Look, he's one-armed. Touching the exhibits is strictly forbidden. What a witch. Hey, don't call my mom that.
Hi, I'm Melanie from Minnesota. My mother was a museum director and raised me by herself. One day, a man came to our house.
Melanie, right? I'm your grandfather.
The next moment, Mom was suddenly called to work.
Don't worry, I'll look after my granddaughter.
We spent the whole day together, and I was on cloud 9. Grandpa knew so many amazing stories.
About 200 years ago, our ancestor Mr. Andrews came to America. He brought a treasure with him. You see, he was a sailor and found the treasure on one of his adventures. But his enemies found out about it and wanted to take it away. To protect himself, Mr. Andrews hid the treasure and drew a map to find it later. Soon after that, he dies tragically. But he had a son who later ended up in an orphanage.
Does the son still have the map?
Unfortunately, it was lost. But this legend has been passed down in our family for generations. I've been trying to find the map for years.
That is a waste of time. As a certified historian, I can assure you that treasure isn't real. Stop filling Melanie's head with nonsense.
The treasure is quite real.
You're crazy to believe that.
That evening, Grandpa left, and we didn't hear from him again.
By the time I turned 16, I'd forgotten about the legend he told me. However, I liked history just like my mom. I even joined the school's archaeological club. Life was great. But one day, Mom suddenly got fired. They accused me of stealing money from the museum's account. She had to spend almost all her savings on lawyers. Her reputation was ruined, and no museum wanted to hire her. Mrs. Henley, who had previously worked as Mom's deputy, became the new director. Melanie, bring me my pills. I have a migraine. Mom had always been a lot, but after she was fired, she became completely insufferable. The world is so unfair. We're gonna starve to death. Should you maybe look for a job in a different field? That is beneath me. That is why I was glad when my archaeological club went for an excavation site. We helped real archaeologists for a few days and even earned some money. I like these trips of ours. Before going back, I went for a walk and came across a cave. It was shallow and didn't really lead anywhere. That looks like a key. How strange. Hey, it's time to go. When I got home, Mom was pale as snow.
I just got a call from a hospital. Your grandfather died.
Although Mom hadn't kept in touch with her father, the next day, we went to his funeral. Grandpa lived in a small town, and his house was practically in the woods. When we got out the car, for some reason, it felt like someone was watching us. There were a lot of unusual things in Grandpa's house, especially in his study. I noticed a letter on his desk. Dear Melanie, I've spent a lot of time looking for the map, and luck finally smiled down on me. However, I haven't been feeling great lately. If something happens to me, I hope you'll continue to search for our family treasure. I'm sorry I hadn't stayed in touch, but your mother forbade me from talking to you. At the end of the letter, Grandpa described the place where he had hidden the map and drew some sort of symbol. Is it true that you forbade Grandpa from seeing me? I didn't want him to be a bad influence on you. Grandpa lived like a hermit, and there were very few people at his funeral.
He worked part-time as a security guard in the city archives. What a shame. He was a good man.
At some point, I felt like we were being watched again. I noticed a silhouette nearby, but it quickly disappeared among the trees. What? Are you serious? Of course. Did something happen?
Mrs. Henley wants to hire me as her secretary. I could work at the museum again, but I need to take some classes in another city first.
We were driving home after the funeral when our car suddenly died.
Dang it, it won't start.
Luckily, a couple of locals passed by and helped us get to the nearest repair shop.
Is this it? This mechanic is only a couple of years older than you.
The guy seemed suspicious to me, too. I caught him throwing glances at me a few times, which made me feel uneasy. His pendant looked pretty unique. For some reason, it seems familiar. It was only after Mom and I returned home that I remembered where I had seen it. That symbol was in Grandpa's letter, too. I wanted to know what happened to the treasure. That's why, after Mom left to take the classes, I decided it was time to act. I took the money I earned at the expeditions and went back to the town my grandfather used to live in. Then I took his compass and walked into the forest. The letter says to move northwest towards an old oak tree. I almost got lost a few times, but Eventually managed to find the right place.
Didn't think he would do it.
I turned around and saw the guy from the repair shop. What are you doing here? He told me his name was Jacob and that besides fixing cars, he volunteered at a special center.
Your grandfather was lonely, and I brought him groceries. We were friends. He told me about his family and the treasure. He even gave me a pendant with your family's coat of arms. I was with him when he collapsed and called an ambulance.
So it wasn't my imagination. Have you been watching me?
I have been since your arrival. Your grandpa asked me to help you look for the treasure, but I didn't think you were interested in that. You and your mom never cared about your grandpa. You haven't even answered any of his letters.
But I hadn't received any, although Mom could have intercepted them.
Anyway, since you're back, I'm willing to help. Here's the map.
Why would you do that? Do you want the treasure?
No, I just want to fulfill the last wish of the person I was close to.
I didn't trust his words, but decided to accept his help anyway. There were strange signs on the map.
Look, this is the old name of the street that leads out the city. I can't figure it out though.
I can. They used to mark residential buildings like this on maps.
So we need to leave the city, drive 20 miles north, and find an old building.
We decided Jacob would drive us there. His car was shaking so hard, my teeth were chattering, and it died every 5 minutes. This is a rust bucket.
It's not so bad.
Your car is an ancient fossil. Soon, we found ourselves in front of ruins. We spent several hours there and almost gave up on finding anything when I noticed something unusual. Look,
It looks like a riddle.
this probably shows us the way further.
Sorry, I need to take this.
In the evening, we returned to Grandpa's house and tried to solve the riddle. I spent the night Googling and reading books, but it paid off. The number most likely means distance, and the arrow probably points in the right direction.
The lines represent water, and the circle could mean an island. I think I know where it is.
The next day, Jacob's ramshackle car had to go through another ordeal. We arrived at the shore of a wide river and scraped together enough money to rent an old boat.
Why would you sail to that wild island? There's nothing there except old rocks. Give me a moment.
Who's been calling you all the time?
No one.
Jacob looked very tense, and I overheard a snippet of his conversation.
I promise, I'll make it in time.
There really were only rocks on that island, but we still found what we were looking for.
Look, there's your coat of arms.
I think this is Latin. The internet was of no help, and we headed to the city archives.
All the information is at your disposal.
We looked through the old documents and eventually found something interesting.
The phrase means purity of thoughts is purity of the body. It's a slogan of some old community.
But it doesn't say where we can find them.
I can help with that. There are a few members of that community left, but the settlement is not far from the city.
It turned out these people lived in an eco-village in a forest. At first, they didn't want to let us in.
Outsiders aren't welcome here.
But everything changed when the residents saw Jacob's pendant.
That symbol.
Soon we were told that the elder of their settlement wanted to see us.
But first, you need to purify your bodies and thoughts.
First, they made us change our clothes. They gave me something that looked like a wedding dress and a scary mask. When Jacob saw me, he looked terrified.
What's with the creepy mask?
They sat us down in front of a bonfire, and a woman recited some strange mantras over us. After the ceremony was over, I felt like I got married and divorced on the same day. I took off the mask and met Jacob's gaze. Had he always been so handsome?
You're blushing.
It's from this heat of the campfire. Soon we were taken to the elder and told him about our search.
A relic has been passed down through my generations in my family too. We knew we would have to give it back one day.
The relic turned out to be a simple wooden tablet with yet another message. A one-armed warrior guards a secret. There were also various numbers carved into it, but Jacob and I did not understand what they meant. That evening, we came back to Grandpa's house and tried to figure it out. I think it's time for bed. You can sleep in the living room. As he laid down on the couch, his wallet fell out of his pocket, and I saw a picture of a beautiful girl in it. For some reason, it was unpleasant. Am I jealous? Instead of thinking about the treasure, I spent the whole night wondering about that stupid photo. In the morning, we kept trying to decipher the message, and at some point, Jacob got an idea.
These numbers are latitude and longitude. Look, these are the coordinates of your hometown.
You're a genius. There is a sculpture of a knight with one arm in the museum where my mom used to work. What if that's what we're looking for? We decided to go to the museum. Of course, we had to go there at night, but luckily, I spent my entire childhood there. I know all the entrances, what time the night guards make their rounds, and where the alarm system is.
Sorry.
Just wait a bit more. I'm almost done.
Who's calling him all the time? That pretty girl? We hid in the museum and waited for dark. After everyone had left, we crept up to the night.
Look, your coat of arms is on the tip of the spear.
Jacob lifted me up and I realized there was something hidden in it. Got it. It's a key.
What's in the note?
The ink is smudged. I can't read this.
What's going on here?
Security! Mrs. Henley? Mom?
I came back a bit earlier. What are you doing here?
The next moment, Miss Henley noticed the spearhead in my hand and went berserk.
I gave you a chance, despite your terrible reputation. And what do? Let your daughter break into the museum and damage the exhibits. You'll have to pay for this. Melanie, get in the car. How could you set me up like that? What were you doing with that nobody?
Jacob is not a nobody, and we've almost solved the mystery of the treasure.
So that's what this is all about? From now on, I'll lock you up so you won't do anything stupid.
Mom carried out her threat and locked me in my room. I stayed up all night texting Jacob. I couldn't make out the words in the note, so we're stuck. Mom went to the museum in the morning to talk to Mrs. Henley, but wouldn't let me out. After she left, I received a notification from an archaeological chat. A new expedition is coming up. I kept thinking about it and suddenly remembered something. I think there was an indentation shaped like this in the cave I found last time. I got out of the house through the window and called Jacob.
I'm glad I didn't leave.
While we were driving along the highway, the car started to break down and stalled.
This ancient fossil.
While he was fixing it, I left to buy some water. But when I returned, neither Jacob nor the car were there. The key was gone from my pocket too. He ditched me. I was upset and angry with myself. Jacob was suspicious from the start. I shouldn't have trusted him. I tried to hitchhike, but no one stopped. Then, I saw a familiar car driving towards me.
Get in.
Why did you decide to come back?
You were right. I wanted to take the money, but I couldn't do it. That girl you saw in the photo? My sister. She's ill and we need the money for her surgery. That's why I work as a mechanic so much. But nothing I earn is ever enough.
All my anger vanished. I'm so sorry. We entered the cave and the key fit. What happened next shocked me. I feel like a character in an adventure movie.
Me too.
Instead of gold and money, the treasury was filled with old paintings, sculptures, and valuable artifacts. After closing the passage, we went to the museum. I wanted to talk to Mom, but instead, we ran into Mrs. Henley. We will pay for the damages, and you will have new exhibits soon. I told her about our discovery, and Mrs. Henley was delighted. She asked us more questions, but what happened next left me speechless.
Security, lock these two up. Now I know how to find the treasure, and I'll tell everyone that I discovered it.
No one will believe you. Mr. Andrews is our ancestor.
It doesn't mean anything. I can be convincing. Everyone believed me when I said your mother stole the money, didn't they?
You set her up?
I really wanted to be the director.
Let us out. We need to get out of here.
Calm down. I realized what was going on and filmed Mrs. Henley's confession on camera.
Have I mentioned that you're a genius? They let us go in the evening. Thanks to evidence, Mom was reinstated as director, and Mrs. Henley was in a world of trouble. I always thought my father was crazy. When I was a kid, he used to take my mother on treasure hunts with him. She died during one of them. Ever since then, I hated my father and didn't want to see him. But now, I realized that it was just an accident. All the works of art were sent to different museums. They cost a lot of money, and Jacob and I got our share.
My sister underwent surgery, and the doctor said she would recover soon. I also bought a better place for my repair shop.
I hope you don't mind if I stop by after I get my driver's license.
I would be delighted.
He took my hand, and our eyes met. I felt like that moment was worth all the treasures in the world.